Hi, Ben. It's exciting to have you on the video today in what I'm going to be bold and say is quite a momentous moment for us UK folk in Bitcoin history, really. Do you want to explain what I mean by that? I mean, I'm here to listen to what you've been doing and what you've been doing particularly today.
Well, I'm glad you think it's momentous. I'm definitely excited. Yeah, so we've opened London's first Bitcoin hub. It's called Antidote. The announcements went out on the wires today. We are an accelerator as well as a home for Bitcoiners. So we're looking for founders and entrepreneurs with credible business models in the UK and Europe, and we'd love to welcome them into Antidote, which you can see here behind me, and essentially foster and catalyze growth in the UK through Bitcoin.
Amazing. And just share a bit more about, I mean, obviously I've got to know you over the last, must be about a year now. Like just tell everybody a bit about your own background and, what you've been doing and how that led to this project coming together. Because obviously it's been it's been building up for quite some time.
Yeah, and it has been building out for some time. I learned all the pain. I mean, my background originally, going back a while now, when I was a teenager, I started working in the video games industry. Um, I went from gaming into finance, really materialistically. I was chasing a better salary, and I did about 10 years in mergers and acquisition and capital raising in investment banking. So, in plain speak, without the fanciness, that is. Helping companies to raise money, and then when companies are bought and sold, advising on that process. I've been, based in London for the majority of my life and career. If my accent doesn't give it away, I am a Brit. Um, I'm, post Bitcoin and my dive into Bitcoin, I've also coincidentally graduated into doing venture capital. I got more interested in working in investing and working with founders than I did sort of on the transactional nature of banking. And to my own discovery, or surprise, I also got happier and happier the closer I came to the source of the idea, i.e., the earlier stage of the business. Um, I joined a VC fund called Lakestar in like 27, no, 2018 or so. And I spent a couple of years there leading their video games investing, but with sort of my 20% time in air quotes, looking for credible businesses in the Bitcoin space. Now, not to labor the sort of point too much, but it's very difficult to find truly VC investable businesses in the Bitcoin ecosystem. When I say VC investable, what it means in plain English is for every dollar I give you in investment, I'm expecting at least 10 back, and probably within 7 years or so. If you can't convince me that that's going to happen, then I'm probably not going to invest. Um, in those days, the bulk of my thesis and focus was around Lightning, which was new and up and coming and showing a lot of promise. And I met the team at ZBD, which is where I actually work in my primary job today, and that is leading their strategy and corporate development. I ended up at ZBD because I identified them at Lakestar, invested in their seed and Series A round as they brought gaming and Bitcoin together, and then joined the business after the Series A to help it grow. And if we fast forward to Antidote's opening today and along that meandering path, I essentially wanted to give something back to Bitcoin, to the UK. It is high time the UK adopted Bitcoin meaningfully. I've watched with a lot of admiration so many countries set up Bitcoin hubs, professionalize, organize, and really go after the opportunity. Particularly, obviously in America where there's more than one hub now. And that married with what is now some first-hand operational experience scaling a Bitcoin business, as well as with some, prior expertise in finance and investing. So I thought we could collate these all in one place, and together with my co-founders Andy and Michele, we've essentially built an incubator accelerator for good ideas, and we're in a position where we can give founders capital, but also, know-how and experience to scale a business, hopefully to raise their first seed round, and then to go on from there to actually change the shape of Bitcoin in the UK and Europe.
Yeah, amazing. Brilliant. Tell me a bit more. You touched on it very lightly at the beginning. The focus of Antidote, obviously, I mean, my background as well has been in startups and, I've helped startups scale and, been looking at that space for a long time, as well as the Bitcoin space for a long time. And like you say, the idea of actually a Bitcoin based or Bitcoin powered startup and how it's going to actually scale and come up with a credible narrative that's then going to be delivered on is a fascinating topic of conversation, right? Because I think everybody's thinking about how can we use Bitcoin for, you know, doing all sorts of things beyond the store of value, which has already proved itself to be very effective at. What's the focus of Antidote? I mean, I know you've got a kind of a number of different areas that you're starting to kind of pull people in and magnetize them on certain topics.
So I'd say the main areas at present are, Bitcoin related fintech, and that, I mean, that's so broad, right? So to zoom in a little bit, yes, both B2B and B2C, but they're very B2C is a very, very different business model from B2B. So, if you're going B2C and you're saying fintech and you're saying Bitcoin, you're really narrowing down the products at that point to, are you making a wallet? Are you making an exchange? Are you making some kind of credit product? Are you like collateralized Bitcoin loans? Or are you trying to do something with Nostr, which is a whole, let's not go down that tangent just yet. On the B2B side, there's also a lot of promise. We still see frequent complaints from Bitcoin companies around accounting. So one example I frequently give is, there aren't enough Bitcoin accounting companies, ironically. I also feel that there is a lot to be done in B2B, whether it be in treasury management, in intercompany settlement, in B2B payments generally within industries and ecosystems. Bitcoin truly excels when there is a high volume of small scale international payments at present. That's a really rich scene to go and tap into. And you often need, you do often need interchange between fiat and Bitcoin on either end of that to truly make it commercial. But we're lucky enough in the Bitcoin ecosystem now to be in a world where there are a plethora of APIs that help you get that infrastructure off the ground without, and save you mountains of time and money and, money being capital to validate your idea in market. So that's probably the biggest focus, that Bitcoin fintech area, and unsurprising given Bitcoin is money. We do also explore around the edges, with a new company, leveraging AI tools that exist today, radically decreases the cost of starting up a business. Essentially, I mean, one of the things we've been saying, just to really simplify how we're thinking about it, is one founder can do the work of three people now, thanks to being, boosted by agents. And agents can become part of a product today in a way that can help bootstrap and engage customers very early and very quickly. Um, Last piece would be around identity online. There is Bitcoin itself comes with lots of questions around, identity, whether that be through a regulatory lens in terms of KYCing and AML stuff, or whether it's actually through the idea of who are you online and how do you transact and navigate this kind of supranational country we call the internet, whose GDP is probably bigger than any single nation state. I think there are really interesting questions around what it means to be an internet user on decentralized foundations.
Yeah, amazing. And I think some of the core things which I resonate with in terms of my own career as well is this thing about infrastructure, right? And you said, because I'm just thinking about, there's obviously people who are watching this, some who will be very plugged into Bitcoin and kind of almost sense where it's going or where they might be able to start to build with it and work with it. And then there are people who are kind of less familiar, but I think definitely I can echo the idea that there is this new infrastructure that's available, and then you're talking about the bridge between fiat and Bitcoin, and how can we start to get the innovators who are already in the fintech innovation space or in the payment space, all these things that you're talking about, to even just open themselves up to what could Bitcoin enable, or how could it, suddenly be more efficient, more effective. Talk about settlements, accounting, all of these different things, and
Mm.
obviously people are adopting Bitcoin, and so there is a need now, like you say, with the accounting to actually almost catch up with what people are now needing to use in order to make all of this kind of efficient and smooth and
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Lots of people zoom in on the accounting one because I think it's one that folks can quite quickly see is easy to grasp. I will transparently disclaim that I am I'm personally yet to be convinced there's a 10x equity opportunity there, but it's a good example of how we're thinking about Bitcoin based businesses and providing Bitcoin based services. I wanted to pick up on your infrastructure comment because I do want to impress that upon founders today. Like one of the outside of seeing the Bitcoin ecosystem continue to professionalize and mature and the UK lag behind in adoption, the other element that really spurred me and the team, Michele and Andy, to start building Antidote was we've been attending the London based and UK based Bitcoin meetup scene for quite some time now. And I'd probably get on for 3 or 4 years at this point. And there, every single time we would meet a real software engineer, a really skilled UK based engineer looking at the Bitcoin ecosystem. They do come from fintech. They come from companies like Revolut, Monzo, Wise, etc. They come from Klarna. They come from all these businesses, and they can't be persuaded to leave their startup job to build on Bitcoin because they do not see the equity value being there. It's, the calculus they're doing is it's just better for me to save my fiat in Bitcoin and just hodl and wait, right? But that's all well and good, and I don't want to criticize people for doing that. But if we have builders who can contribute and can continue to catalyze the adoption of Bitcoin, I feel very much that they should be persuaded and helped to see the opportunity in front of them in terms of how early this industry is on one hand, but also how broad and available the opportunity set is becoming, or how addressable it's becoming. Maybe that's a better way to put it. To speak less abstractly, fiat to Bitcoin is a solved problem now, right? There are 3 or 4 companies. You've got ZBD, you've got Strike. You can even use the Coinbase API. You've got Lightspark. All of these APIs now provide you with the means of making Bitcoin a very, very cool everyday monetary experience. You can now use it to solve problems. You don't need to worry about building that core, foundational infrastructure. You don't need to worry about regulation and compliance. Non-custodied user experiences are a choice. All of these things are now something, they are building blocks, they are Lego for a founder to play with. And I hope that founders incept in their minds today that they can move money over Lightning on chain or over fiat rails as easily as you can, work with APIs. And therefore, the question is, what do you build in that environment where the challenges of getting Bitcoin into a usable human everyday experience are starting to fall away? This is to me the moments where you can have truly game-changing ideas emerge that really accrue value. Um, the ability to upend the creator payment economy, how people who stream on Twitch get paid all over the world, the ability to upend tradespeople's economies, like where any kind of marketplace-based commerce where it's very much peer-to-peer or facilitated peer-to-peer, eBay, etc. All of these marketplaces can be opened up with truly global internet money. And if hearing that inspires you, then I hope it inspires 50 other people and they start talking to us at Antidote, because that's what we believe we can build. And the UK has historically been bloody good at it. Like we really have been. So I hope that we wake up and we do start to grab this by the horns, because it will drive growth.
Yeah, it's funny. It makes me think of used to spend quite a bit of time in level 39. Remember when they
Yeah.
started and how they were just, slap bang in the middle of Canary Wharf with all the banks around them. And they were all I don't know, I think it was Ripple who were in the office there and a few of the others. And yeah, there was a whole wave there. And I think now you're a new wave, right? I mean, it's like Bitcoin has matured enough now to
Yeah.
be a convening point. And it
Slightly sounder foundations than Ripple, perhaps.
Well, there we go. Thank you for picking up on that little moment. But I think what was also interesting when you were talking about that, I just got a sense. I know a bit about, obviously you're at the launch stage, and we're going to come on to, how people can get involved and so on. You've articulated, nicely some of the ideas of how startups can, get involved with Bitcoin, and we already talked about there's a spectrum of people who are Bitcoiners, there are people who kind of understand it to a certain extent, and so on. But obviously you're building this accelerator and it is a convening point. It's a physical location as you've got, you're showing behind. So it is, I suppose, just maybe talk us through, because I know you've got different formats of how people are going to get involved. There will be some people who will have ideas, and obviously I know you want to encourage people to apply to, get funding and join the accelerator as a startup proposition. And maybe just talk a bit about, maybe we'll start with that. Where do they need to be in order to make an application? What, just let's focus in on that process because I know there'll be other people we need to cover after that.
That's a great question. Thank you for bringing it up. I tend to think in abstract. So yeah, no, thanks for it's good to give out clear instructions. So this is the incubator is for folks who are at the idea stage and they have yet to move much beyond validating an idea, an innovative idea. In terms of what we offer, and I think this will help those who, hang out in venture circles, triangulate the stage we're looking at, because I think these days the sort of idea of a seed and a pre-seed and all of this stuff is all blurry. Um, if you have an idea, if you're a commercial founder, or if you're a technical founder who thinks they have a product but doesn't yet have a commercial model around it, that's roughly the right point in time to come and speak with us. The way the process with us will work is we're happy to meet, no strings attached per se, social meet, understand a little bit more about you, your team, who etc., and essentially make sure we mutually understand one another in our goals. If we feel there's strong alignment, both for incubation and for acceleration, then we do ask every founder to complete a founder application. This then goes up to our own investors, which is Initial Capital and Fulgur Ventures, along with a couple of high net worths. And if we're all aligned, then you are accepted into incubation. And at that point, you receive £25,000, and that's essentially make the leap money. It is hopefully it is. I live in London. It's enough money to get by for 6 months. If you're not based in London, you can relocate and you'll be able to come to Antidote every day and work with us and be mentored, so to speak. Throughout the mentorship, we offer a lot of programs around, understanding cap table dynamics, understanding raising rounds, but much more of a heavy focus. And this is where I really believe all founders should be concentrating on answering the question of what problem are you solving? What is the MVP you ship? And bear in mind, in an AI era, that MVP can be really quite developed to the point of maybe you even have a sale or two. What is your ideal customer profile? How have you validated that market? And with all of these things together, at the end of the 6 month incubation, just like many other accelerators, there is a demo day. And that demo day puts you in front of our VCs, and you have the opportunity to raise up to about 500,000 at very founder favorable terms. So it's all been geared to be competitive versus other VCs, but with much more active involvement from everyone who's passionate about Bitcoin and about seeing true Bitcoin businesses be built. That is the founder process as sort of succinctly as I can try and explain it off the cuff. Not everyone is a founder, and this is London's Bitcoin hub. We do have desks, co-working available for people who want to just be surrounded by other Bitcoiners, be productive in a high quality office environment. We also, work with policymakers to make sure that the UK is starting to hear the message around Bitcoin. And so we've partnered with Bitcoin Policy UK. Their team is in the office frequently. And we'll do more over time as well. We are in an early stage discussions with a venture studio. This is a business that has ideas and is looking for teams to build them. So sometimes you find that you just get folks who are very, very excited, very passionate. I describe them as hammers looking for nails. If you would define yourself as a hammer, we're capable of providing a few nails. And if the alignment is there, again, that becomes an incubation opportunity. So there's a number of means of getting involved in Antidote, but I will say that the one very, very transparent and naked requirement is this is about building businesses. So it is, there has to be an equity story, there has to be a business model there has to be a means by which, as much as we're accelerating Bitcoin, everyone as well is also making, they're appropriately incentivized, they're making money right out of the venture.
Amazing. You see everybody who's watching. This is why I was excited, right? I mean, this is the moment in the UK where, like you say, it's been popping up in other parts of the planet. And I also, I've been meeting a lot of the UK so Bitcoin community, and it's just I know a lot of us are excited about the fact that you've now built this place for, with I think we were talking the other day about, sort of a, what was the phrase we used? Not tangible outcome, but it's very focused on execution, getting things done, and bringing that brain power together in one of, I still feel London's the best city in the world. I've lived here all my life, and
Yeah,
a
me too.
lot of us Londoners, when we watch all these videos on YouTube and everybody's saying London has fallen, London's over, we want to
Yeah,
kind of stand
nonsense.
on our hill and say,
Hmm.
well, London's got a few ideas and it's got a few, you know, bright sparks who want to just keep fighting the good fight and representing this city. And so good for you for doing all this. I think there's been a ton of really valuable information in terms of explaining what you've actually put together here. And obviously people will want to find out more and obviously get involved in different ways. What's the best ways? I know you've got, just tell us all the kind of, website and how they can maybe get in touch with you if they want to just sort of, maybe they've got some questions and that kind of thing. I can obviously post in the description as well.
Absolutely. So the website is antidotebtc.com. Unsurprisingly, perhaps. That outlines everything that Antidote as a space offers, and there's actually a call to action there. If you are interested in getting involved, you'll find the founder application form there. You'll find just general inquiries can run through that as well. We are on X at Antidote BTC. We're also in the process of setting up a Substack, but it's empty right now, so I won't point there. And we will, in the next fortnight or so, have opened up a Slack, and the means to join that Slack will be through antidotebtc.com. That will be the main area to come and discuss things with us. If you're a founder, you want to run through ideas, it will be join our Slack, but it's early days yet. We're only about 10 days old, so yeah, still putting a few pieces together.
Yeah, yeah, no, excellent. I mean, I think that's it, isn't it? It's getting the balance between the offline and online worlds these days, and getting things done. So I think we have come to our natural conclusion for today in terms of a launch. Congratulations on the launch.
Thank
Brilliant
you.
to know this exists, and very excited to start to meet the people who are going to be based at Antidote and see how the humans can come together and actually look for those. I was just like you, I was watching from afar when, kind of Ego Dev Capital would announce their latest, sort of startups and you start that brain cells of like, okay, who's building what on Bitcoin? And I think now, we've got another wave of that. We're the UK and we've got our British accents and we welcome all accents, but we're sticking our flag in the ground and
Yeah. Well, I just think, think about where the best fintech in the world has come from in the last 15 to 20 years, right? Revolut is the poster child of European startups, incubated and built in London alongside Monzo, alongside Wise, alongside all of these other, and why? It's because this country has always been exceptionally good at building things related to financial services. Despite all the doom and gloom, we are not the most indebted country in the G7. We're not doing, there's many fields in which we're not doing well. I share much of the palpable frustration that Brits feel, but I refuse to be a downer on the whole thing. Ultimately, it is on us to roll our socks up and get things moving. And so, here we are. Let's do it. I'm quite excited to.
let's do it. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll look forward to hearing from you in due course, hopefully. And Ben, thanks a lot for your time and all power to you. Wish you all the very best. Take
Thank
care.
you, Carl.
See
Cheers.
you all. Bye bye.